I was 29 years old when my sister Jessica declared at Mom's birthday dinner that I was wasting my life on social media. According to her, I was the family disappointment, the one who never grew up, never got a real job, never understood what it meant to be a responsible adult. Still playing on your phone all day? Jessica asked, cutting into her steak with unnecessary force. She was 32, a corporate lawyer at a mid-sized firm, and she never let anyone forget it. When are you going to get serious about your future, Maya? I looked up from my plate, keeping my expression neutral. I'm doing fine, actually. Fine. Dad interjected, setting down his wine glass. You're nearly 30 years old, living in that tiny apartment making videos for strangers on the internet. That's not fine. That's concerning. Mom reached over and patted my hand, but her smile was strained. Your father's right, sweetheart. We just worry about you. Jessica has such a stable career and your brother Mark is doing so well in finance. We want that security for you too. I appreciate the concern, I said quietly, taking another bite of my food. This conversation happened at every family gathering. I'd learned years ago that arguing only made it worse. Jessica leaned back in her chair, exchanging a look with her husband Brad. You know what the problem is? She thinks she's going to be famous. Like those TikTok teenagers. It's delusional. I never said I wanted to be famous, I replied calmly. Then what exactly are you doing? Mark chimed in from across the table. At 27 he was the youngest and somehow the most judgmental. Because from where we're sitting it looks like you're just scrolling through your phone and posting random videos. That's not a career. Brad laughed, a sharp sound that cut through the dining room. I saw one of your videos once. The one where you were talking about movies or something. Maya, I'm sorry, but it had a few hundred views. That's not exactly viral content. I nodded slowly. You're right. That one didn't perform well. None of them perform well, Jessica exclaimed, throwing her napkin onto the table. That's the point. You're 29 years old, spending hours every day creating content that maybe a few dozen people watch. Do you know how embarrassing that is? When people ask me what my sister does, I have to lie and say you're in digital media, because I'm too ashamed to admit you're trying to be a TikTok influencer. The word influencer dripped with contempt. I took a sip of water and said nothing. Dad cleared his throat. Jessica, that's a bit harsh. Is it? She challenged. Dad, be honest. Are you proud when people ask about Maya? Or do you feel embarrassed? The silence that followed was answer enough. Dad shifted uncomfortably in his seat. I just think Maya has a lot of potential that she's not using. He was always so creative as a child. I thought she'd do something meaningful with that. Creating content is meaningful to some people, I offered quietly. Mark snorted. To whom? Your 17 followers. I have more than 17 followers. Oh, I'm sorry, 70? 700. Mark's voice was mocking. Maya, I have more followers than you and I barely post. I just share pictures of my vacations and my dog. You're trying to build a career on this and you have less engagement than someone who posts twice a year. It wasn't true, but I didn't correct him. Let them think what they wanted to think. Mom stood up to clear some plates, her movement a clear attempt to change the subject. Who wants dessert? I made that chocolate cake everyone loves. I want to finish this conversation, Jessica insisted. Maya, I'm saying this because I love you. You need to grow up. You need to get a real job with benefits and a salary. You need to stop living in this fantasy world where you're going to wake up one day and be famous. I'm not living in a fantasy, I said evenly. Then what do you call it? Brad asked. You spend all day making videos and for what? So you can have 100 people watch them? Maybe 200 on a good day. I wanted to tell them that my last video had gotten 43 million views in the first week. I wanted to explain that I had 12 million followers across platforms, that I'd been featured in Variety and The Hollywood Reporter, that I'd been quietly building an entertainment empire while they dismissed me at every family dinner. But I didn't. I just nodded and said, you might be right. Jessica's expression softened slightly, as if she thought she was finally getting through to me. I am right, Maya. And I'm not trying to hurt you. I'm trying to help you see reality. You're almost 30. It's time to be realistic about your life. What Jessica's saying, Dad added, is that we want you to have stability, security, a 401k, health insurance that doesn't come from the marketplace. These are important things. I have health insurance, I said. Mark rolled his eyes. The cheap kind that doesn't cover anything, I bet. I didn't respond. My health insurance was actually platinum level coverage that cost more per month than Mark's rent, but they didn't need to know that. Look, Jessica continued, leaning forward with that condescending expression she always wore when she thought she was being helpful. I have a friend at my firm. She's looking for an assistant. It's entry level, but it's a real job. Real pay. Real benefits. I could put in a word for you. That's very kind, I said quietly, but I'm okay. You're not okay. Jessica's voice rose sharply. Maya, you're living in denial. You're playing pretend while life passes you by. Do you have any savings? Any retirement plan? Any career trajectory whatsoever? Brad put his hand on Jessica's arm, trying to calm her down, but she shook him off. No, Brad, she needs to hear this. Maya, I've been patient. We've all been patient. But enough is enough. This TikTok thing, this YouTube thing, whatever you want to call it, it's not working. It's never going to work. You're not special. You're not going to be the one person in a million who makes it. You're just wasting your life. The room fell into an uncomfortable silence. Mom came back with the chocolate cake, her eyes darting nervously between us. Maybe we should talk about something else, she suggested weakly. No, Jessica said firmly. We've been talking about something else at every family dinner for 3 years. We've been pretending Maya's little hobby is fine, that it's just a phase, that she'll figure it out eventually. But she's not figuring it out. She's getting older and she's still making videos that nobody watches. I set down my fork carefully. My videos have viewers. How many? Mark challenged. Seriously, Maya. How many people watched your last video? I could have told them. I could have pulled out my phone and shown them the analytics. 43.7 million views, 8.2 million likes, 624,000 shares. I could have shown them the comments from verified celebrities, the collaboration requests from major brands, the messages from other influencers wanting to know my secrets. Instead, I said, a few people. Jessica laughed bitterly. A few people. Do you hear yourself? Maya, I'm billing hours on cases that affect thousands of people. Mark's managing portfolios worth millions. Brad's designing buildings that will stand for decades. What are you doing? Making videos that a few people watch. She's doing what makes her happy, Mom tried weakly. Happy doesn't pay the bills, Dad said, and I could hear the disappointment in his voice. Maya, your mother and I have been talking. We're worried about your future. What happens when you're 40 and still trying to make this work? 50? At some point you have to accept reality. I understand your concerns, I said, keeping my voice level and calm. I'd learned this technique years ago. Never react, never defend, never explain. Just acknowledge and move on. But Jessica wasn't ready to move on. Do you though? Do you really understand? Because you keep doing the same thing over and over, expecting different results. That's the definition of insanity, Maya. Actually, I said quietly, that's not the definition of insanity. That's a misattributed quote that. Oh my God, Jessica interrupted, throwing her hands up. Even now, even when we're trying to have a serious conversation about your future, you're being difficult. I'm not trying to be difficult. You are though. She stood up abruptly, her chair scraping against the hardwood floor. You're so deep in denial that you can't even have a real conversation about this. You can't admit that you've failed. You can't accept that this internet dream isn't going to happen for you. Brad stood too, putting his arm around Jessica's shoulders. Babe, maybe calm down a little. No, I won't calm down. I'm tired of watching my sister waste her life. I'm tired of making excuses for her at parties when people ask what she does. I'm tired of pretending that everything's fine when it's clearly not. My phone buzzed in my purse under the table. I ignored it. Nobody watches your stupid videos, Jessica continued, her voice breaking slightly. Nobody cares about your content. You're embarrassing yourself and you're embarrassing this family. Do you know that Mom's friends ask about you? Do you know what it's like for her to have to explain that her daughter is almost 30 and still playing on social media like a teenager? Mom's face flushed red. Jessica, that's not. It's true, Mom, and you know it. Mrs. Patterson asked about Maya last week and you changed the subject so fast I got whiplash. Because you're ashamed. We're all ashamed. The words hung in the air like poison. I felt a familiar tightness in my chest, but I kept my expression neutral. This wasn't new. They'd been ashamed of me for years. Dad cleared his throat. Jessica, that's enough. Is it? She challenged. Because I think someone needs to say it. Maya needs to hear the truth. She needs to understand that her little videos aren't a career, they're a joke. And the joke's getting old. Mark nodded in agreement. She's right, Dad. We've all been thinking it. Someone had to say it. My phone buzzed again. And again. I felt it vibrating insistently against my leg. You're not even listening. Jessica's voice rose to a near shout. You're on your phone right now. This is exactly what I'm talking about. We're trying to have a serious conversation about your life, and you're checking your notifications like a teenager. I'm not checking my phone, I said quietly. It's just buzzing. Then turn it off, she demanded. For once in your life, be present. Be here with your family instead of living in your fantasy online world. I reached into my purse and switched my phone to silent, feeling it continue to vibrate against my palm. Thank you, Jessica said sarcastically. Now, can we please have an adult conversation about your future? Before I could respond, there was a sharp knock at the front door. Mom looked startled. Were we expecting anyone else? She asked. Dad shook his head. Not that I know of. The knocking came again, more insistent this time. Mom stood up, smoothing her dress nervously as she walked toward the foyer. We all heard the door open, heard her surprised intake of breath. I'm looking for Maya Chin, a man's voice said, professional and urgent. I'm her agent, Richard Castellano. It's extremely important that I speak with her immediately. My stomach dropped. Oh, not now. Not here. Jessica's eyes widened. Your agent? You have an agent. Before I could respond, Richard appeared in the dining room doorway, slightly out of breath, still wearing his suit from what must have been a meeting in LA. He'd obviously rushed to get here. Behind him, I could see Mom standing in the foyer, completely confused. Hiya, Richard said, his eyes finding mine across the room. We need to talk. Now. I'm in the middle of dinner, I said carefully, trying to signal with my eyes that this was not the time. I understand that, but Universal Studios has been trying to reach you for the past hour. Your phone's been going straight to voicemail. He glanced around the table, taking in my family's shocked expressions. I apologize for interrupting, but this can't wait. Jessica found her voice first. Universal Studios? Like, the movie studio. Richard barely glanced at her. Maya, they need you to sign the contract tonight. The deal's been finalized. $80 million for the 3-film package plus the streaming series. They want to announce it tomorrow morning, and they need your signature before the press release goes out. The silence that followed was absolute. I could hear the grandfather clock ticking in the hallway, could hear someone's breath catch in their throat. 80 million? Mark's voice was barely a whisper. Richard finally looked at my family properly, seeming to realize that he'd just dropped a bomb in the middle of a birthday dinner. I'm sorry, did she not tell you? Maya's been in negotiations with Universal for the past 6 months. They're developing a major franchise based on her content and creative vision. She'll be starring, producing, and directing. It's the biggest deal for a digital creator in Hollywood history. Dad's fork clattered against his plate. Starring? Producing? What are you talking about? Richard pulled out his phone, tapping quickly. Maya Chin. 12 million followers on TikTok, 15 million on Instagram, 8 million YouTube subscribers. Her content has generated over 2 billion views in the past year alone. She's been courted by every major studio in Hollywood. He looked at me with barely concealed exasperation. Which they would know if you'd told them. You have 12 million followers? Jessica's voice was hoarse. I closed my eyes briefly. Yes. But you said. She trailed off, her face going pale. Richard checked his watch. Maya, I hate to rush you, but the studio heads are waiting on a conference call. They need confirmation tonight. Netflix is trying to counteroffer and Amazon's been calling all day. Universal wants to close this before someone else swoops in. Netflix. Mom's voice was faint. Amazon. The streaming platforms, Richard explained with the patience of someone talking to children. They've all been competing for Maya's exclusive content. Universal won because they're offering the most creative control, plus the theatrical releases. Maya will have her own production company, final cut on all projects, and profit participation he stopped himself. I probably shouldn't discuss the details in front of family. Brad laughed suddenly, a slightly hysterical sound. This is insane. This is absolutely insane. Actually, Richard said coolly, it's business. Maya's been one of the most sought-after creators in the industry for over 2 years. Where have you been? We thought. Jessica started, then stopped. Her face was red now, whether from embarrassment or anger I couldn't tell. We thought she had a few hundred followers. Maybe a few thousand. Richard's eyebrows rose. A few hundred? No offense, but how could you possibly think that? Maya was featured on the cover of Variety 3 months ago. She won a Streamy Award last year. She's been profiled in The Hollywood Reporter, Forbes, Entertainment Weekly. He paused. Did you not Google your own sister? The question hung in the air, damning. I've been keeping a low profile, I said quietly, coming to Jessica's defense even though I knew she didn't deserve it. I didn't talk about my work much at family gatherings. That's an understatement, Richard muttered. He turned back to me. Maya, seriously, the studio needs an answer. Are you going to sign? Everyone was staring at me. Jessica's face had gone from red to white. Mark looked like he might throw up, and Dad was gripping the edge of the table so hard his knuckles had turned pale. Mom stood in the doorway, one hand pressed against her chest. Can I have 5 minutes? I asked Richard. He sighed. 5 minutes. But Maya, they're not going to wait much longer. This is $80 million we're talking about. Plus the back-end points, the merchandising rights, the international distribution. 5 minutes, I repeated firmly. Richard nodded curtly and stepped back into the foyer, pulling out his phone to make a call. The moment he was out of sight, the dam broke. 12 million followers, Jessica repeated, her voice hollow. 12 million. When you said a few hundred watched your videos. Mark started. You said a few hundred, I corrected gently. I just didn't correct you. But why? Mom's voice cracked. Why didn't you tell us? I looked around the table at my family, the people who had spent years telling me I was wasting my life, that my dreams were embarrassing, that I was a failure and a disappointment. Would you have believed me? I asked simply. The silence was answer enough. Jessica sank back into her chair. The things I said tonight. The things we all said. It's fine, I said, though we both knew it wasn't. It's not fine. She pressed her hands against her face. Maya, I called your work stupid. I said nobody watched your videos. I said you were embarrassing the family. You believed what you saw, I said calmly. I understand. No, you don't understand. Jessica's voice rose again, but this time it was laced with panic rather than anger. God, Maya, I've been so cruel to you. For years. Every family dinner, every phone call, every time I saw you I made you feel small. And all this time you were building a career, I finished. Yes. Dad found his voice, though it sounded strangled. The cover of Variety, Forbes, and Time magazine last month, I added quietly. There's a profile running next week about the evolution of digital media and traditional entertainment. They're calling it the Maya Chen effect. Mark made a sound somewhere between a laugh and a sob. I told you that you had 17 followers. I mocked you for having less engagement than my vacation photos. I know. But you have 12 million followers. 12.3 actually. As of this morning. And Universal Studios is offering you $80 million, Brad said slowly, as if testing whether the words would sound less insane if he said them out loud. They didn't. For the initial package, I confirmed. Richard mentioned back-end points and merchandising, which could bring the total value significantly higher depending on the franchise's performance. Jessica stood up abruptly, her chair falling backward with a crash. I need air. I can't. I need to go outside. She stumbled toward the patio doors, Brad following close behind. Through the glass, I could see her bent over, hands on her knees, breathing hard. Brad stood beside her, his phone out, presumably Googling me. Mom sat down in Jessica's abandoned seat, reaching for my hand. Maya, honey, I don't understand. Why didn't you tell us? All this time we've been worried about you and you've been successful. I supplied gently. Her eyes filled with tears. I'm so sorry. We've been such terrible parents. We didn't support you. We didn't believe in you. You believed what you saw, I repeated. I kept things private for a reason. The entertainment industry is complicated. I didn't want the pressure of family expectations while I was building my career. Family expectations? Dad's voice was rough. Maya, we've done nothing but criticize you for 3 years. Exactly, I said simply. The weight of that single word seemed to hit him like a physical blow. He looked down at his plate, at the birthday cake that no one had touched, at the wine glass he'd set down when Richard first arrived. I'm going to sign the contract, I said, standing up. Richard needs to get back to LA tonight and the studio is waiting. Of course, Mom said quickly. Of course you should sign it. Maya, this is incredible. I can't even process this. Mark hadn't moved, hadn't spoken. He was staring at his phone screen, scrolling through something. You have videos with 40 million views, he said dully. 50 million. One has 83 million views. The one about analyzing film techniques in contemporary action movies, I said. That one did particularly well. The one Brad said nobody watched, Mark continued. The one we all laughed about. 83 million people watched it. Give or take, I agreed. Richard appeared in the doorway. Maya, I hate to interrupt, but we really need to go. The studio heads are getting anxious. I nodded, grabbing my purse. I'll call you later, Mom. Happy birthday. Wait, Jessica said, coming back inside from the patio. Her face was streaked with tears, her carefully applied makeup smudged. Maya, please. I need to apologize. I need to. It's okay, I said, though we both knew it wasn't. It's not okay. I've been horrible to you. I called you an embarrassment. I said your work was stupid, that you were wasting your life, that you were delusional. Her voice broke completely. And all this time you were building something incredible and I was too busy being judgmental to see it. Jessica, I said gently, I appreciate the apology. But right now I have a contract to sign. Can we talk about this? She pleaded. After? Tomorrow? I need to explain, I need to. We'll talk, I promised, though I wasn't sure I meant it. But right now I really do need to go. Richard was already heading toward the door, typing rapidly on his phone. I followed him, aware of my family trailing behind me like stunned ghosts. Maya, Dad called out as I reached the foyer. I turned back. He looked older, somehow smaller. I'm proud of you. I should have said that years ago, but I'm saying it now. I'm proud of you. Thank you, I said quietly. We all are, Mom added, her voice thick with tears. So incredibly proud. In the driveway, a black car was waiting, Richard's driver. He held the door open as Richard slid inside, already on a conference call with the studio. Maya, Jessica called from the doorway. I paused, one foot in the car. The things I said tonight. I'll never forgive myself. Then don't, I said simply and got into the car. As we pulled away, I could see my family standing in the doorway, illuminated by the porch light. Jessica was crying openly now, supported by Brad. Mark stood with his phone still in his hand, probably still scrolling through my social media. Mom and Dad held on to each other, looking lost. Family drama? Richard asked, ending his call. You could say that. He handed me a tablet with the contract loaded. They didn't know, did they? About any of it? No. Why not? I thought about all the dinners like tonight, all the comments about my wasted life, all the pitying looks and disappointed silences. I thought about how they'd made me feel small, insignificant, embarrassing. Because they didn't ask, I said finally. They just assumed. Richard nodded slowly. Well, they know now. How does it feel? I looked at the contract on the screen. $80 million for 3 films, Creative Control Production Company, the works. It was everything I'd worked for, everything I'd built while my family dismissed me as a failure. It feels, I said carefully, signing my name with a stylus, like validation. Good, Richard said, taking back the tablet. Because tomorrow morning when this announcement goes live, the entire world is going to know your name. Your family included. My phone started buzzing again. Notifications flooding in now that Richard had gotten through to me. Messages from other creators, from industry friends, from journalists wanting statements. I scrolled through them absently. One message caught my eye, from Jessica, sent 5 minutes ago. I googled you. Maya, I'm so sorry. I had no idea. Please forgive me. I didn't respond. Not yet. Maybe not ever. The press release goes out at 8 a.m. Eastern tomorrow, Richard said. By noon you'll be trending on every platform. By evening, Every entertainment outlet in the world will be running the story. Maya Chin, digital creator turned Hollywood powerhouse. The biggest cross-platform deal in entertainment history. And my family will see all of it, I said. Everyone will see all of it. That's the point. He paused. Are you ready for that? I thought about Jessica's words. Nobody watches your stupid videos. Such an embarrassment to the family. You're wasting your life. I thought about years of dismissal, of being treated like a failure, of being told my dreams were delusional. Yes, I said. I'm ready. The car drove through the night, carrying me toward a future my family had never believed I'd have. Behind me in that dining room, they were probably still standing around in shock trying to process what had just happened. They'd called me an embarrassment. They'd said nobody cared about my work. They told me to get a real job, to grow up, to stop living in a fantasy. Tomorrow morning, when the announcement went live, when their phones started ringing with congratulations and questions, when their friends and colleagues saw the headlines, they'd understand exactly how wrong they'd been. I'd built an empire while they dismissed me. I'd achieved everything they said was impossible. And I'd done it all without their support, without their belief, without their approval. Now they wanted to be proud of me. Now they wanted to apologize. But some words once spoken can't be taken back. Some wounds once inflicted never fully heal. I signed the contract. I took the deal. And tomorrow the whole world would know what my family had been too blind to see. Sometimes the best revenge isn't anger or confrontation. Sometimes it's simply success. Undeniable, overwhelming, impossible to ignore. And sometimes it's letting people realize far too late exactly what they threw away.